Creatine is one of the most researched supplements in the world, right? It has like decades of data. We used to kind of think it was only important for intense exercise and the gym, like it's always been a gym bro thing. But what we know now is actually it's involved in all of the highly energy intensive processes in our bodies.
This is Catch-Ups in My Kitchen, the catch-up you need every week in order to look, feel, and be the best version of yourself. Join me in my kitchen every week as I speak to a new guest about all things food, health, and wellness. Whether it's a specialist in their field, an inspiring story, or just a big girly catch-up full of all the recommendations, tips, and advice. In my kitchen, we talk about it all. Hey guys, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Catch-Ups in My Kitchen with me, Georgia Simmons, host of the podcast. In my kitchen this week, I am joined by Rhian, the founder of ARTAH, an amazing supplement company which is just very pure and very simple and very good quality. And we are going to talk about all things supplements, food, when to focus on food, when to focus on supplements, and also a supplement that is completely taking over at the moment, creatine. I have started taking creatine. I had a million questions about the source of creatine, how much, does it make you gain weight, does it make you bulk, does it make you bloated? We answer all these questions and more, and it was so great to get Rhian in the kitchen, kind of simplify it a bit more. Like, she is a food first girl, but she supplements and has her own supplement company. So we were talking about when to supplement, when to not, and all the kind of common mistakes that we as girls all make, and guys, but I feel like girls talk about it a lot more. So guys, you're going to love this. If you're into creatine, if you don't know what supplements to take, you find it all overwhelming, this is the episode for you. So without further ado, let's go and meet Rhian in the kitchen. Rhian, welcome to my kitchen. How are you?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm good. Thank you.
Do you mind giving a really quick elevator pitch and introduction into who you are and what you do?
Yes. Okay. So my name is Rhian Stephenson. I am a nutritionist, naturopath, founder of the supplement company ARTAH. So before that, I was in clinical practice. So I was in clinical practice for almost 10 years. And I had quite a special interest in women and women's metabolic health. I had a dream about starting a supplement line back then because I saw that there was such variation in quality, in the quality of the formulas and the dosing and the synergy of the complexes. I found that there was really great practitioner brands, but they were really hard to access. And then a lot of the high street brands just weren't good enough. So I kind of plotted out this big brand that I was going to build that was going to be more lifestyle. I got a bit sidetracked though, and I went to the world of fitness, which I loved. So then I ran a fitness business for about 7 years. And the thing that was really interesting about that is that people were getting really kind of inspired about fitness and the transformative power of movement and how it made them feel. But everyone was kind of still talking about their food and their gut and their skin and all those problems that you have from just that foundational kind of lifestyle not being quite right. We're still there, So they were getting fitter, but they weren't necessarily getting healthier. And so I started to kind of think like, this would be such a perfect time to go back into the world of nutrition. So after the pandemic, I started ARTAH, and we really focus on kind of those functional, high quality practitioner grade supplements, but we try to make them, a lot more accessible, a lot more lifestyle. And we also do nutrition plans as well.
Amazing.
I feel like that was very wordy.
No, it was great. I love how you do nutrition plans as well, because it's food and supplements. We're going to get into that. It's a big kind of question because everyone always says food first, but supplement industry is booming. So it's kind of like this contradictory food first approach, but everyone's also pushing supplements. And it's like, how do you navigate that? Whereas you're really combining those two pillars, which I think is really, really nice.
Yeah, I don't think any nutritionist-led brand or nutritionist could ever not focus on food, right? So food is absolutely the foundation of health. It's what we do most often. It's what we've got to do to live. And it's going to form the basis of how we feel. But that doesn't mean that supplement can't work in tandem with that, right? Like, it's called supplemental, like it supplements your diet. So it's not supposed to be either or. It's not either you just eat whatever you want and you take supplements and they're going to carry you through. I think if that's why you're taking them, you're going to be disappointed. It's actually, I'm going to create the best kind of base diet I can, and then what do you need to add in? And that will all depend on your goals, right? Is it you're adding in because you know you're deficient in something? Are you adding in because it's a life stage thing? You know, pregnancy, breastfeeding, menopause, these things take more. Are you adding in because actually you live such a stressful lifestyle that adding in things that help to support that just make you feel good, right? So there's so many different reasons why you could add in, but you should absolutely work on that foundational nutrition first.
Yeah, completely. We'll get into that in more detail. We have a quick fire round to kick things off about all things food.
Okay.
So, what's your favorite restaurant in London?
Oh my gosh, this is where I'm such a loser. I have 2 young children, so I feel like I haven't been out for dinner in such a long time. So I'm just gonna say Scott's. It's just a classic.
I've not been, and I really want to go.
It's a classic.
Yeah. Okay, good one.
Yeah.
What's your go-to Deliveroo?
I don't do delivery.
Yes, I love it.
I'm so sorry.
I know so many people come because everyone here.
Ben's Grocers, like the only thing I Deliveroo is the groceries sometimes when the shops are closed in August.
I love it. Honestly,
I'm sorry.
because everyone here, we talk about wellness, 90% of people don't Deliveroo. Yeah. And I'm like, it's just, no, we cook. We don't order in. Yeah. Okay, what is your hangover meal?
So about 1.5 liters of cellular hydration for sure. And then my hangover meal is usually going to be, I don't know, probably pancakes. But I mean, they're like healthy pancakes, but still pancakes with some nut butter and some compote, maybe a shake as well.
Nice.
But
yeah, love it.
Nice meal.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And what's your favorite coffee shop?
Black Sheep.
Love it. Love it.
Because their iced matcha is matcha. It's not just green tea. It's iced matcha.
I know.
And you can get an iced matcha without it being milky or sweetened, which I'm not just saying that because I have one now, but
I love that they do that. It's really good. Which food for you is a no-no?
I'm allergic to dairy. I can't tolerate.
Yeah, that's a big no-no.
But also, like, I don't eat added sugar, like sugary things. I don't eat candy. I don't eat sweets because it just makes me.
Yeah, I'm with you. Also, there's lots of lovely natural sugars such as like dates. I
bake with my kids every weekend, but I don't eat candy, and I don't let them eat it either. Unless they're at a birthday party, and you know.
Yeah.
It's a vibe.
And which is your favorite dish to cook at home?
I don't know. I'm from Canada, so I love a barbecue. Just like tons of different proteins, tons of different veggies on the barbecue, some corn on the cob, a great salad with herbs, and like I don't know.
Yeah.
A bit dull, but
no, I think
love a barbecue.
I love like loads of different flavors on a plate.
Yeah, just lots of platters everywhere, and I love the char and having dips and
Agree.
Yeah.
That is a good one.
We do fajita night every weekend because it just makes it easy, right? I think especially when you're a parent, you just need like a formulaic approach to make to not have to think that much. So every Sunday we do fajitas. We make the tortilla from scratch. So my kids help to press it. They love it. They taste so much better as well than the store-bought ones. And then we'll just rotate, steak, salmon, prawns, veg. And it's just like quite a nice thing. And then there's like lots of flavors and dips and all that kind of stuff. So that's really
so fun to do with the kids as well.
Super fun.
Yeah.
I think it's really important to try to get your kids involved in meal prep. Like so many studies have already shown that the more they help you prep food, the better their eating habits are. They eat more fruit and vegetables. They're more confident with food. So it's one of those things you really want to get them excited about, and not just baking, all types of food.
Completely. And like your relationship with food affects your children's, and their relationship with food now is like the foundations of their food relationship for life.
They're also so much more observant than you think. Like sometimes at night, I don't eat a lot of carbs at night, and my daughter will be like, "Mommy, why aren't you having pasta?" And I'm like, "Oh." So like I don't want her to see me.
Yes.
Well, it's not that I'm being restrictive, but I just feel better when my carbs are in the day. I'm over 40, so I don't eat a ton of carbs at night.
Yeah.
But I don't want to pass on any weird things to her. So I'm like, "Oh, Mommy, I forgot." You know what I mean? I put on my plate.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're so observant. They get it. They get everything. And so I also think that we underestimate their intelligence.
Completely.
So talking to them about food, like I talk to them about food all the time, but we talk about certain foods being like really great for their hair or really great for their brain or good for their tummy bugs. And so like starting the conversation around nutrition with them early. So it's not like this is good, this is bad. It's like this is bad if you have too much, right? It's really impactful, and they can speak about it in like a really like eloquent way. They understand what foods do what.
Yeah, I can't wait to do that to my children. Like
really
I always
nice.
speak about like, oh, I want to give them like healthy treats and like loads of delicious smoothies and like just get their taste buds used to like delicious healthy food rather than, and like the best feeling would be for them to go to the party, have the candy and be like, ugh.
That happened to, I mean, it changes though fast.
Yeah.
Once you get the taste. But the first time we had like a birthday party, I was like, oh my gosh, she's going to have ultra processed food and refined sugar. And you're like, chill out. Like,
chill. Yeah.
It's just life. So you need to chill. But until then I had just baked everything and we got there and she had a bite of the cake. And it was one of those like sickly sweet rainbow cakes where like it literally just tastes like icing sugar. And she took a bite of it and she spit it out. And I was like, oh my God, I've done it. I've nailed it. That's not the case now. I mean, now she's like, more. But it does make a difference.
Yeah.
You know, they can't eat as much when they're not used to all of that stuff. So just having that foundational diet early on is super important.
Completely. Growing up, my mum never let us have Coca-Cola in the house. And then she remembers taking my brother and I to a party and we literally were having Coke like it was like crack. We were like, oh my God, this is amazing. And my mum was like, this is so embarrassing. My children are losing their mind over Coke and no one else is reacting. And so after that, she's like, okay, I think I need to be a bit more
less
like,
yeah. It's really hard. And it's hard now because we know so much more. Like we know so much. Back then, you know, my mom didn't give us a lot of, well, that's not true. I was going to say she didn't give us a lot of sweets, but we grew up in like the low fat era. So like you could eat a Twinkie because it had a low fat sign on it. So I mean, we ate all that horrible North American junk, but we didn't have like candy or Coke or stuff like that. But now we know so much more. So it's hard not to get like quite anxious about it.
Really?
And I need to like actively just try to be chill at parties and just be like, okay, it's just a party, you know. But
it's just a day.
You know,
it's one day.
Yeah.
Completely.
But you can't restrict, like you can't be that mom. Well, I mean, you can do whatever you want with your own kids, but I didn't want to be that mom who was at the party and like isn't letting her take part in all the stuff that the other kids would take part, because I think that creates such negative patterns for them when they're older as well.
Completely. Talking of
off topic,
I love it. Talking of children, I'd love to touch on your childhood.
Yes.
Dairy, your relationship with that, and then how it kind of led, I guess, to your whole journey within kind of nutrition and the naturopathic space.
Yeah. So when I was young, I was really sick, and sick in pretty much every way possible. So I had chronic sinus infections. I was on antibiotics probably 5 times a year, like for 12 years. So,
that is terrible for your guts.
I also like when I was young, it was, we'll give it just in case. Right. So it's changed a lot now, but like in that kind of era, they were like, oh, we'll just give it in case, because we didn't know how bad it was. I had to sleep propped up because I had acid reflux. Like this is when I'm 12. So I carried around Tums. I carried around Pepto-Bismol. I had migraines all the time. I just felt horrible. And I also felt very different than the other kids, right? Because like I'd go to sleepovers, I'd be exhausted. I'd be falling asleep and everyone else is running around and having a good time, or like my stomach would hurt, or I'd be sick all the time. So we went around to tons of specialists. Everyone did like tons of testing. There's nothing wrong with me. So that there was no kind of underlying medical condition that people could spot, which is good. But then you're also in that spot where so many people are, where you don't have a chronic illness or like anything that you can point to on the pathology side of things, but you're not well, right? And so many of us have that, right? You're not sick, but you're not well. So finally they sent me to a psychiatrist because they were like, maybe she just doesn't like school. And I was like, I love school. And then they're like, oh, she's just got a weak constitution. So my mom and like, we were just a bit like, oh, okay. So I lived kind of my teenage years just taking Pepto-Bismol, sleeping propped up, having heartburn, like just feeling sick all the time, chronic ear infections. And then finally I went to see someone who basically, we found out that I had cow protein allergy. So I was allergic to the protein in milk. It's super uncommon when you're older. Like usually you get it when you're a baby. I had been tested for lactose intolerant, but I am not, that was fine. So like, you know, I had tons of dairy. I had the glass of milk at night, 3 bones, right? Every day. I had yogurt, I had cheese. You know, I had it probably at every single meal. So I changed what I ate and it changed my life. It changed my life instantly. Like within 6 weeks, I was a different person. And I was so inspired by it that I was like, this is what I want to do. Yeah. And so like the food, like just changing how I ate was one part of it. And I got so much better so fast, but it wasn't until I then also used supplements that I just got to full health and then went on from there. So I just became really inspired because there's so many people who, like, it might not be as severe as what I have, but there's so many people who are struggling with all those issues where you're not sick enough to get help, but you're not well enough to just live life the way that you want to. And so that's, what really inspired me to get into this world.
Completely. And when you find something that works, you're like, oh my God, this feeling of like finding that thing that works is so good. You want to then kind of lead that message on to other people.
Yeah. And I think, when you look at some of the people who are talking about really restrictive diets, I think it's important to take a step back because usually they've gotten there because they've been really unwell and it's the only thing that helps them get well, right? Now, I think, it's important to then come back to the center. But with me, like I was really good at just not touching it. And then when I moved here, actually, I was like, oh, I'll probably be fine now. I started to eat it again. And then everything just started to come back, right? So like we're all human as well. Even when you know what it is, you still have to work at it. Yeah. But the good thing now is it's just made it so easy for me to be well because I know how horrible it is to be unwell. Like I know how expensive it is, like with your energy, with your time, with your emotions, you can't get stuff done. You're paying to try to find fixes or get acupuncture. Like it's not worth it. So when people are always like, oh, don't you miss ice cream? I'm like, no, because I eat ice cream. I just make it. Yeah. I make it healthy. I love it. And this will make me ill. So it's really, I come from a place where actually cutting out certain foods can be super empowering. Now you have to be careful, right? Because you don't want to cut out so many different things and restrict, but it's important to be inquisitive with what you're eating and just see like, how can you do it in a healthy way? Like, should you test maybe an elimination diet for 30 days and then start to slowly add things in one at a time to see how you respond? But I mean, there's lots of stuff that you can do. Yeah.
And like you always talk about having a food diary and the power of that. Let's touch on that a bit more. Because again, I love that you've got a supplement brand, but you speak so positively about food. Yeah. Because they do work together.
Food diaries are the thing. Like food diaries are so boring for people. They are so resistant to doing them, but they are so like, you're going to learn so much about yourself. We all have habits and patterns that we don't even realize. Like if you ask me how many coffees I had, I'd be like, oh, I only have 2 a day. I probably actually have 4. And it's not till you write it down because, things sneak back in. And so there's this element of you're never going to actually know what your baseline is unless you look at yourself. And so it's easy to see like some people are saying, only focus on protein. No, we have enough protein. Only focus on fiber. No, we have enough. But how do you know? How do you know unless you know what you're eating? We just did a retreat a few weeks ago and I looked at 9 food logs and 5 of them weren't getting enough protein or fiber. And when I say not getting enough protein, not like crazy amounts, like based on the 2 grams per kilogram, which I know a lot of the protein evangelists are talking about. This was like the RDA, so like 0.8 to 1. So you're never really going to know what your patterns are, what your habits are until you write it down. And not for 3 days. Do a weekend because everyone's like, oh, I did Monday to Friday. I'm like, why?
Weekends are.
And don't just do it for what, like do it for a month or do it for 2 weeks, right? Like you need to have enough time where you can be like, oh, actually, I'm only eating vegetables once a day and I'm not eating enough fiber and I'm not getting protein at all, or I'm not eating protein till nighttime. Like no wonder I'm starving all day. And so it's going to tell you so much about your food patterns. I just think everyone should do it.
Yeah. And then do you think people should like track symptoms as well in that?
100%.
Yeah. Because I was going to say, once you've written your food diary, then what do you do? Then how are you analyzing it effectively?
Yeah. So look, that's where it gets a bit harder. There's going to be some basics where it's like servings of fruit and veg, right? Kind of an approximation of your protein. We actually wrote a blog on what to look for and stuff. So we can maybe put that in the show notes, but you can look at like how much fiber you're getting. In terms of micronutrients, you're going to either have to do some research or get some advice. But I think just looking at the basics where maybe you see, oh, I skipped breakfast and that day, actually, I feel headachy and anxious because I'm only having coffee till noon, right? Like there's so many patterns that you can look at that just will show you why you feel certain ways. I think it's really important.
It's so important. And like, even what I find, so I do this anyway, and what I find is like skipping breakfast for me, just terrible idea. I can't do it. I can't function without it. So that's a non-negotiable. Foods that I love sometimes don't love me back.
Yeah.
Chickpeas. I love chickpeas so much. Sometimes they just don't love me. Yeah. Red beans as well. Like I love all the beans, but too many of the beans, I'm like, oh my God.
You can't just add beans in.
Like, no, it's too much. Like I love making like a homemade baked bean, like red beans and like peppers, really yummy with like a sweet potato. Yeah. But I don't often feel great after that. Yeah, I am bloated after that. Yeah. Sometimes I'm like, yeah, but I love it, so I have it, whatever. Yeah. But sometimes I'm like, oh, you know what? It doesn't love me. Like eggs, I used to be vegan and I cut out, obviously, eggs, dairy, everything. I now have eggs again. Oh God, it's great. Like I feel great after eating eggs.
I didn't eat red meat for like almost 10 years. And then when I was pregnant, I was like, steak. Like all I wanted was steak. And I started to eat meat again. And it's like transformed how I feel. I'm also anemic. So I mean, of course it does. But yeah, I think some of the patterns I also see on food blogs is like the accidental fast. So people who are really busy and they haven't planned their breakfast. So they're like, okay, I'll just fast, right? And I think there's a big difference between doing an accidental fast and an intentional kind of overnight fast, right? And when I say fast, I'm probably referring more to the time restricted eating, right? Like you either skip your breakfast, or you go for 16 hours. So people who are doing it accidentally are generally like high stress. So they're so stressed that they haven't planned it all. Then they have tons of coffee. And then they get to lunch, and because they haven't planned, like I'm actually going to fast. So that first meal, once you've done a fast, is really important, super important. It has to have good fiber. It has to have great protein. It has to have lots of veggies. So then they'll grab a sandwich, right? And then they're starving the whole day. And then you end up eating so much more. Whereas if you're planning a fast, mentally you're in a good space. You're not thinking about it. You've planned your lunch meal, right? So there's a lot, so things like that. That's something that I see. The other thing I see is kind of just trying to eat really light. Like I think a lot of people my age were, when you're raised in like the low cal, the low fat, you think about like, oh, I'm just gonna have a salad, right? But so maybe you skip your breakfast, you've had a couple coffees, you're really stressed, then you have a salad at lunch. There's nothing wrong with the salad. The salad's good, it's healthy, but if you don't have anything in it that's going to bulk it up in terms of fiber and protein, you're going to be starving at night. And then once that hunger drive is high, it's so much harder to not just overeat at night and overeat on the wrong stuff. Like you're standing in front of your cupboard because you're just so hungry from your day. You're so depleted that you're like, oh, I'm just gonna scoops of peanut butter, dates and peanut butter. If you have ultra processed food in the house, that's when you're going to hit it. And that's when it's going to be super hard to stop because that food is designed to be addictive, right? So I think it's all about just being aware of patterns with no judgment. Look at your food diary with curiosity. We all do it. I've done things where I'm like, oh my gosh, like, of course that I feel it's terrible. So I think it's about just like understanding that nutrition is a practice. It's a journey. You're never going to get it right. Like I think so many people think, oh, I'm going to start on Monday and then I'm going to nail it. And maybe you'll nail it for 4 days and then something happens. It's a birthday, it's a wedding, it's a stressful day at work, or you haven't slept, and then you're like off plan, and then you're like, oh, I fell off the wagon and I'll start again Monday. But like, this is life. It's ebbs and flows, right? So you have to figure out what things make it harder for you, what things make it easier, how to navigate it all. And that's going to take, months to years. It doesn't take 5 days or 2 weeks. So, it takes a long time.
No,
it's about patience and kind of being a bit more kind and be like, okay.
Being kind is
I just ate a cookie. You know what I mean? Like, and then when people say that, because they're like, oh, I've ruined it, I may as well binge.
Ruin it more.
Yeah. So then they'll eat the 10 cookies and then I'll just start on Monday. And that's one of the most kind of, that's one of the behaviors that I find people, are really damaged by, because it's just really challenging. And then you have this like shame and guilt, and you think that you have no willpower. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. And we're so hard on ourselves.
So hard on ourselves, especially with food.
Completely. So where does supplementation come in, and when do you know, or should you know, when to supplement? Because it's so overwhelming. It's the space is, there's so much, and you feel like you want to all, like, I'm like, oh, like
it's easy
detox and deflow. Yep, need that. And like, oh, like metabolic support. Yep, need that. And like, oh, I need to take hydration. And then you're like, oh, hold on. What do I need?
Yeah.
How, because we spoke earlier before we started recording, getting these tests is so expensive.
It's very expensive, and also just not always an accurate way to measure your nutritional status, right? So,
yeah. So how do we know what to take and when to take?
Yeah. So I think the first thing to do is look at your foundational food quality, right? So are you eating a lot of ultra processed food? Are you eating out? Are you eating from coffee shops, from Pretz, from things like that, right? You know, in a perfect world, we would get everything we need from food, but we don't live in that world, and we live in a convenience world. And, you know, people in the UK, I don't know what the exact stat is now because it's very different wherever you read it, but at least 50% of most of our calories are coming from ultra processed food, right? So just from that stat, I think it's higher. I think it's more like 60 or 64. You're going to be not getting enough fiber, and you're going to be lacking core micronutrients, right? So you can just assume that if you're somebody who's eating like that, your plan should be A, to start to make some changes to your foundational diet, and how can you like improve the food quality, and B, even just get a good quality multi in, right? Just getting in something that's going to help to fill those gaps, whether it's short term while you change what you're eating, or long term if you feel like you can't really change it. That's, I think, kind of the first place to start. Then, like I said earlier, it's life stage, right? So I think women in particular have much more unique, well, we have unique requirements compared to men, you know, in terms of pregnancy, menstruation, menopause, perimenopause. So if you're trying to get pregnant, you know, taking a fertility and pregnancy supplement is really important. Once you've given birth, though, I mean, we are so depleted for up to 2 years afterwards. So from pregnancy, from breastfeeding, so just making sure that you support yourself there. Then there's symptoms, right? Like, are you suffering from symptoms? Some of it could be from food. Some of it could be from life, right? Like if you're really stressed out, if you don't sleep a lot, this is where some of the more targeted things can come in. And you're never going to know exactly unless you see a nutritionist, I think, because it's like you said, it's really hard. So there is an element where you need to do the research. But you know, that's one of the reasons why at ARTAH we offer like you can book appointment with our head of nutrition and just get advice on what you should take. A lot of that is either people who are taking too much and we whittle it down and we consolidate it, and a lot of that is just getting people on that right foundation. And then there's things like, look, if you're training hard, if your lifestyle is big, when like you're leading a lifestyle that demands more, your body needs more. We can't just look at the RDA and think that's going to be optimal, right? So it's all about trying to build your program from there. But yeah, it can be really hard to understand exactly what. I think 2 things I would say: it's important not to get caught up in a fad. So being like, oh, I need metabolic support. Do you actually, right? Like, are you craving sugar? Is your blood sugar going like this? Like, are you getting tired in the afternoon? If you're feeling kind of energetic and good, you probably don't need that, right? If you're training, you probably would need something else, right? So like, it's all about not just getting caught up because we like a word. I think also things like, you know, there's a lot of people we speak to who they say, well, my friend is on this, so I'm going to take it. Your friend could have IBS, acne. Like they could be doing something very specific for their needs. So what works for one person isn't necessarily going to work for someone else. Yeah. So it's important to just take it. It's a lot.
Yeah, no, completely.
Then also the season, right? Like vitamin D, everyone should take that. Like we should just always be taking that.
Even in the summer?
I believe so. Unless you're getting, you know, midday sun on your bare skin every day for half an hour, which I mean, I'm not ever, you know, I walk to the tube. I have a couple holidays. So I think we should still, of course, you know, if you can get a test to see where you are. That's what's very helpful. You can bring the dosage kind of down to more of a maintenance. So take it once every couple days. But I mean, so many of us aren't getting enough of it at all.
No, so true. And why did you start ARTAH? So obviously you kind of had your nutritionist experience and you are still a nutritionist and you then were in the fitness industry, but you still had this like itch that needed to be scratched within the supplement space. So What was that, and how is ARTAH different?
So I think, again, it comes back to that, like there's a personal element of it, right? Like food and supplementation changed my life in such a positive way. And I saw just through clinical practice how many people are suffering with that kind of just not feeling well and thinking it's normal and thinking it's okay. It's common, but it's not normal. Like we don't have to feel bad every day and just wait till we get the diagnosis of like, okay, now you have type 2 diabetes. Now there's something we can do. So just really wanting to get people inspired about healthy food and feeling good and how good you can feel. Like there's an element of it. This always makes me sound so cheesy, but like you just don't even know how good you can feel till you try it. And it's unreal. Like you can be like, oh my God, this is incredible. So there's that part of it. And then the second part was just that gap of, not finding, like a great supplement brand that was practitioner led, that had practitioner style formulations and the dosages that actually work, that work with the right stuff in it, third party tested. It's super important now to make sure that your supplement brand is, because like there have been so many cases where supplement brands have been tested and they don't even have the active ingredient in it, right? So I get the hesitation. It's super important. And so that's why, I really wanted to build a brand you can trust. But, and then the other side is food. Food is joyful. And when I first cut out the foods that were making me feel ill, I felt great. And there was a sense of euphoria because I was like, oh my God, I feel great. But then there was like a couple months where I was like, oh, I really miss stuff. Like I miss having a cookie or an ice cream and then there's this like time where you have to learn. You kind of have to relearn how to cook and how to eat so that it still feels joyful and you're not afraid of it. And that's one of the things I just really love about ARTAH and what we do. The most common feedback we get from our nutrition plans is like, I'm eating so much and it's so good and I feel great. I'm losing weight. My gut is getting better. My skin is getting better. Like people are shocked that it's not just like, here, do this. It's 800 calories a day. It's abundant food, and healthy food should feel abundant.
Completely agree. Sometimes my mom's like, God, like you really do eat a lot. And I'm
mom's like, you eat so much.
Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, but I eat so much of the right stuff.
Yeah.
Like I love food so much, and like healthy food, like you can eat a lot of it and still and be great.
Yeah.
It's not like less isn't always more.
Yeah.
It's when it comes to food, like abundance is great.
I think we definitely need to do like a sweet book next, because we always make stuff and we put up online. Everyone's like, where is this recipe?
Where is this?
Because again, that's also something that's so liberating, because when you can bake and cook and make healthy sweets and stuff, that's when everything falls into place, right?
Yeah.
Because it allows you to have the time with your kids where, you can make that ice cream cone, but not, feel sick or feel like you've fallen off it. Because we were talking about this earlier, but it's important to understand like what type of person you are when it comes to food, again, with no judgment. But like, I'm not the type of person where like everything in moderation works. I think it's because, look, I grew up on antibiotics. My microbiome is naturally not in a good way. Yeah. I grew up on ultra processed sweet food. So like I have that like addictive quality. My dad has an addictive personality. My mom does. So like I can't eat like one square of something really sweet and then to be like, I'm so satisfied.
Yeah.
Some people can, right? And so like it depends what type of person you are. So one of the worst pieces of advice, I think, is telling everybody just everything in moderation, because not everyone can do that. And especially with ultra processed food. Ultra processed food is designed to be addictive. It's hyper palatable. It makes you eat more, want more, think about all. So to think that you can kind of white knuckle your way through that and just use willpower to fight it, it's crazy. It's crazy.
And not everything should be in moderation. There should be more of some things than others, 100%. Yeah. So actually that's so true.
Yeah.
I want to talk about your latest product, Creatine. Because everyone's talking about it at the moment. It's a buzz, it's having a moment, but for good reason.
Yeah.
So
it's one of the most researched supplements in the world, right? It has like decades of data and safety data, and it's amazing.
So why is it so good?
Creatine. So creatine is, we often refer to it as an amino acids, but it's actually a compound of 3. So we naturally have it in our body, and it's basically used to recycle and to create ATP. ATP is the unit of energy in our cells, right? So it gives us basically a supply of energy. Mm-hmm. We used to kind of think it was only important for like intense exercise and the gym. Like it's always been a gym bro thing, because of how useful it is in exercise performance, in muscle protein synthesis, in like making sure that you can perform and recover after your exercise. But what we know now is actually it's involved in all of the highly energy intensive processes in our body. So our brain uses a ton of it. Our reproductive system does. So in men and women, the second highest concentration of creatine is in the reproductive organ. So men, the testes, women, the ovaries. So it's implicated in a whole host of other things now, and there's tons of research that's coming out on it. It's really exciting.
It's so
the
exciting.
Cognitive benefits, it's incredible.
But I think it's got a bad rep for women.
Definitely.
I was so scared. Like I touched on the fact that I've started taking it. I was really, really scared to start because I heard like it makes you bulky, you gain water. Like for a girl to be told that you could gain water weight, you're like, I don't want that.
But can we also just talk about how hard it is to get bulky? Like, do you know how hard it is to build muscle mass as a woman, especially a woman over 40? Like, it's not going to happen. No supplement is all of a sudden going to build your muscles. So, I mean, that's not going to happen. What creatine will do is it will kind of amplify whatever gym or weight program you're doing. So a lot of men get very big on it, A, because they're taking huge amounts, but B, because they're doing hypertrophy. They're working on like super heavy weights to get big. So if that's your plan, yes, it will definitely help that. It's not going to make you have huge muscles if you're doing something that's not that, right? So it's going to help to amplify your HIIT, your bar, your running, basically any exercise. It's going to make it more efficient, more effective, and make you recover in a better way. So you're not going to get bulky from taking it. It's virtually impossible unless you're doing hypertrophy, and that bulk just means you're doing what you're trying to do.
Right.
Right.
And what about water? Does it make you lose water, gain water, no water whatsoever? Like, what's the water part?
Tell me about the water. I know we're so obsessed with water retention.
Why are we? Because like we're all like,
I think it's because in our luteal phase, we've all been there where you wake up and you're like, oh my Lord. And you're like, what has happened? And you just feel like you're wearing a water suit. So we're very sensitive to water. I get it. So no, it shouldn't make you gain kind of that subcutaneous water retention all over your body. What it will do is help your muscles hold a bit more like intramuscular water, which is good. So that will help to make you look more like it will help the definition, but it's not like water weight. It's just holding hydration in your muscles. I mean, at the most, if you're taking a normal amount, it'll be a couple 100 grams if you're like training hard, but it should also, on the flip side, kind of help you lose any extra water weight that you're holding on from inflammation, or if you're just like always inflamed because you're overtraining. One thing I found, I posted a video about this actually, is when I started to take it, I actually feel like I lost a couple pounds almost immediately. And I think it was because so I train hard because I like to train hard. I'm used to training hard, but my lifestyle probably isn't in a place where I should be training this hard. And I think I'm always a bit overtrained. Like I'm always sore. I'm always like, oh, okay, I'm sore, but I need a run for my mind or for, right? It's my only time. And so that went away. Like it just really helped the recovery and the soreness. And I think I lost kind of that layer of inflammation. Now I'm not saying that's happening with everybody, but that's what I found with me. My muscles look more defined, but they don't look larger. They just look more defined.
Okay. So you're not putting weight on, you're not gaining water weight, and you're not going to bulk like
if you're mega dosing. So I think also, again, it comes down to the dosage. So a lot of bodybuilders are taking 20 grams a day. That's abnormal. Like that's a high dose.
That's a lot.
Maintenance, it's 3 to 5 grams. Okay. So if you go from 0 to hero, 0 to 20, you're probably going to retain some water. You're probably going to be like, oh, my stomach feels a bit, or because, you need that water to absorb the creatine. But you shouldn't be taking 20 grams a day, I think is that like more isn't better. So you should be totally fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Yeah.
But all creatine isn't equal.
No.
Which is what I want to touch on. Because like I mentioned to you that I was taking it in a gummy form, and like I'm not a gummy person. No, but I just thought I'm going to take it. But I think there's other things in those gummies which aren't really agreeing with me. And I found it with some electrolyte brands as well. I remember taking an electrolyte. Can't remember the name of it now. I remember it not really sitting well with me. And I think a lot of these kind of like sweeter products do contain
sweeteners.
And I have such a clean diet.
Alcohols can cause bloating.
Yeah.
You know, all of them emulsifiers. So yeah, look, there's that. So there's that. There's the sugar content or the sweeteners, and then also it's just hard to get the dosing right in the gummies. So like there've been a lot of studies that have looked into supplement brands and to creatine in particular, and found that many of them don't even have the label claim on them. So you could be just eating a gummy that just for the sake of eating a gummy, right? So you need to make sure you're going to brand that's third party tested, that you can trust, that you know they've tested, not them, they've sent it away to be tested, so that you know what they say is in it, and there's nothing else in it that you don't want. So all the byproducts of manufacturing, any contaminants, like you just want to make sure it's totally clean and you're paying for what you want to take, not for all this other stuff as well. Yeah. And that can also impact, you know, if you're having gut issues, is it the creatine or is it actually because you're taking a product that is high in contaminants or has, right? So,
yeah. I'd look at because this is what I've been trying to battle with in my head. I'm like, do I ditch the whole thing or do I ditch this current source? And I was like, actually, I think the current source, I'm going to try yours. I'm excited. How do you take it? So I think that's another thing.
I take it in my coffee.
I was good because my coffee in a minute is going to be like a superfood because I've got MCT oil anyway, which is what we put in mine. Yeah. And now maybe I'll be adding creatine in it as well.
I just love a habit stack. It just makes things easier, right?
Easier.
Now, the thing I love about creatine is it's odorless and it's flavorless. So you can literally put it in anything. You can put it in water. You can put it in tea. You can put it in a matcha. I put it in my coffee because, not just because
it's easy.
I do it every day. I have coffee every morning. So I know if I put it there, it's going to happen.
And it's 2 teaspoons or how?
There's a scoop in there. So
there's a scoop in there. This is it. This is it. I love how like simple your packaging is. Yeah. It's just like relaxes me a bit because again, sometimes there's so many colors and words and information, and here I'm like, okay, I know what I'm getting. It's just simple.
I think also, I mean, like a lot of the practitioner brands that I used to work with and love is their bottles look so clinical, and it's not something you kind of want to carry around in your purse and pull out. Like it's a weird type of psychology, but it's the same with skincare, right? Like we love a nice package. It feels heavy. It feels luxurious. It feels like a treat. And whatever you're doing to take care of yourself should feel like a treat. It should feel good. It shouldn't feel like this, you know, oh, like I'm sick, so I have to take this.
Yeah.
And so I think that's a big part of why I wanted the packaging to feel quite like simple, but chic and luxurious.
Agree.
When it comes to the scoops, so our dose is 4 grams. And so if you want to build up from there, you can, but you know, it's a really good, safe and effective maintenance dose.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And what else is your kind of like favorite supplement that you have at ARTAH?
People ask me this all the time, and I think I answer something different every single time. So the things I take our multi, and I take our enhanced NAD complex, and I take those every day. And now the creatine, right? Yeah. And I feel really, really good on that. So if someone asked me, I would usually say enhanced NAD complex. So that's our longevity one. It's incredible. You know, when I started to take it, it lifted a brain fog for me that I had felt since I had kids. Like just that weight of the fatigue, the lack of sleep, the mental burden of organizing everything and what, you know what I mean? Yeah. So that one. But when I'm really tired, I always say metabolic fix because I am someone who's probably prone to unstable blood sugar because of all the things we talked about from my childhood. And when I'm tired, I crave sugar. I get that craving and I'm like, oh, I'm hungry and I want something sweet. And when I take MetFix, it just hits it. So I actually took it this morning because my youngest, she's 3, she's in a fun phase. It's really cute, but it's so exhausting. She just thinks it's hilarious to come down out of her room at night So and she'll come. So like we put her to bed and she'll come down 5-6 times. So
Oh
like
my
till like
gosh.
10, like, and then she'll come down. She wakes up at 5 a.m. and she comes in. She goes, "Is it morning?" And we're like,
"It's not morning."
So it's super exhausting. Like it's really tiring.
Yeah.
So I've been taking Metfix for the last couple of weeks just because it really helps me feel in control of that. And I think that's another thing to mention when you talk about supplements. So like, do I need Metfix to live? Of course not. Like, I'm not going to be lacking anything if I'm not taking it because, you know, I'm already taking the chromium from my multi. But if there's a supplement that is safe and good quality, that's going to help me cope with like a harder life, I'm going to take it. Right.
Yeah.
So, and I don't take Metfix all the time. I just kind of go in and out when I need it. But the other ones I take always. And then, I mean, of course, I have cellular hydration on my desk. I like to take that mid-afternoon when you're starting to feel a bit tired, a bit peckish. It just like helps me get through my day.
Yeah, because often we're actually just really thirsty. And that like really quenches that
like
thirst.
Tired, you know, your eyes, you've been staring at a screen all day. And then I always have it in my water bottle if I'm working out or if I'm running or something.
Yeah, it's so good. So good. I think, I mean, you probably speak to and are with a lot of women and talk a lot about like women's health a lot.
Yes.
Why do we struggle so much with like digestion and bloating and all those things? Like, I don't hear men talking about it. Maybe they have it and they just don't talk about it. But like,
they have it.
We just talk about like digestion issues and bloating all the time. And I think this is something that comes from food and supplements. So why do you think that is?
Well, I think it's important to remember, like, we have a hormonal landscape that changes, you know, every day, every week. So in the luteal phase specifically, you know, it changes our gut motility. Like when our estrogen and progesterone, when they fluctuate, it affects everything. So in that second part of our cycle, we are going to have a sluggish bowel. Now there's a physiological purpose. It's because we need to absorb more nutrition from the food that we eat to help feed the baby, should we have one. But when we're not having one, it's, you know, it's like, ooh. So I think we naturally have a more kind of sensitive digestive system. And then, you know, we're also more sensitive to stress than men are in general. So I think all these things play a role. And then I think probably there's a layer for some of us where we are kind of almost taught to focus so much on our body and so much on our weight. Then when we get to that luteal phase, I see so many women panic if they feel bloated or if they feel like they're retaining water. And so then they restrict even harder and they'll focus on like low calorie, on sweeteners, on things. Instead of nourishing themselves, they try to like restrict around it. And that just makes everything harder. And then alcohol, you know, we're a lot more like, there's no amount of alcohol that is good for us and especially for our gut. And so women, again, in particular, are more sensitive to alcohol than men. And I think we're kind of raised to think alcohol is okay. Like, what does the NHS say? 14 units a week. It's crazy. It's crazy. It's not healthy. And so I think that's not to say if you're drinking, you're bad, because like we're just raised with it. We're taught that it's normal. But I think it's important to understand that actually there is nothing positive about alcohol from a health point of view. Of course, you could argue that, you know, the social aspect, but it's going to be impacting your health if you're drinking it often, and especially in the second part of your menstrual.
Yeah, so true.
Yeah.
And what do you think are some of the most common problems that people do when it comes to like nutrition and supplementation? Because I think we all try and do our best, but often there are some common mistakes. Like you mentioned one where someone's like, my friend's taking this, or I'm going to. That's probably one of them. Yeah.
So with supplements, it's kind of, I think one of the mistakes is more is more, right? Like more is better. And that's not true. So there's so many people who will call us and do the consultation and they're taking like 10 things and they're overwhelmed. And I think that's when you hear about something and then you hear about something else. And actually there could be two of the same stuff in one that you're already taking. So you could be taking too much, you know. So there's all of that stuff. So more is more. I think when it comes to food, you know, we already touched upon this, but that everything in moderation kind of vibe, I think it's so subjective. So if you're looking at the true meaning, I think what people really mean when they say that, or when nutritionists say that, it's your foundation is excellent and then everything in moderation from there. But most of we don't have that excellent foundation. So I think it's hard. And I think it puts a lot of onus on us to try to, fight those foods that are just really harming us, the ultra processed ones. I think having just a very a binary view, like it's just protein or it's just fiber, or it's just this. I think that's also very harmful. Or not harmful, but it's misleading and it makes you hyper focused on only one thing. Yeah. So those are ones that I think are pretty prevalent. And then I also think what tends to happen is there'll be a fad. So, intermittent fasting, it came in, it's great, it works. Then we start to overfast. Now everyone's like, never do it. And so it's just taking everything to extremes. So 100% we shouldn't be fasting every single day, but 100% having some kind of a intentional fasting practice in a healthy way can be very helpful. So there's so much nuance in nutrition. And I think ignoring the nuance and trying to find a quick fix in whatever way it is, I think that's one of the biggest mistakes that we make.
Completely.
Because we're impatient, right? If I feel sick, I want to feel better now, not in 6 months. And that's why people turn to fads, because they work quickly. But they're not sustainable. And so I think it's really important to to just get to the point where it's like, okay, this is going to be practice. It's going to take a long time. And you can pulse in and out of things like a cleanse or a fast, but you still have to have that view of it's a healthy baseline and it's a lifelong thing. Yeah. And that things can change.
Yeah. I mean, right? Even the plant-based movement, that was a prime example of red meat's so bad for you, plant-based. Now it's oh my God, plant-based is terrible for you. Ancestral, everyone's eating steaks for breakfast. Whoa. Why are we such extremists? It is crazy.
And it's easier, right? It's easier to have a solid, hard rule. It's harder to say, well, you have to get protein and you have to get fiber and you have to have good quality. Because then you're left to interpret it and make the decisions every day. And we're never taught any of it in school when we're younger. So it's like learning a new skill on the go, but that skill is impacting you every day. So it's really, really challenging. It's so much easier to say, I don't eat this, I only eat this. Super easy.
Yeah.
Right.
Put it in a black and white category.
Yeah. That's also kind of why I really like our plan. So again, our 28-day plan, which is the original one, you need to get into a habit, right? And that takes a lot of time. So eating really well for 28 days and feeling incredible after it. And what we do near the end of it is we tell you, okay, look, here's how you maintain. You need to build the momentum. So it's okay to feel like you need to be kind of quite structured at the start, but as importantly, it's important to understand that you aren't always going to be able to be structured. So how can you get the knowledge you need? And part of that is finding it, so researching it or getting help. And some of it is just in situ. You have to try things out, and some of it's going to work and some of it's not, right? You've said, you've now seen that it's the chickpeas that work sometimes. It's not always going to be an unhealthy food that you don't respond well to. It can be a healthy food, right?
Yeah.
So much of personalization is that it's trial and error. It's actually when I eat an apple, I'm super bloated. When I eat this, I'm fine. Or
Or for me, cooked apple, fine. Raw apple, not so fine.
Yeah.
It's it's the same product, but it's in different ways.
Yeah. So many people I love mango, and everyone's oh my God, you're eating mango. It's so sweet. I'm I'm fine. Don't worry.
It's fine.
Don't worry. I'm fine.
I don't have candy, so we're good. We're good.
Yeah. If mango's the worst thing I'm eating, it's fine.
We'll be fine.
But there's other things, there's other fruit that if I eat it, it actually really spikes me in a way that feels counterproductive, right? Because it's natural to spike a little bit. We have to be okay with this.
Yeah.
But there's having kind of that natural increase, or there's having a reaction where actually you've eaten, but you're hungrier and you're not focused. And then you feel like you have a crash. Then it's be okay, so that breakfast didn't suit me. Maybe this one will.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's finding out personally what works really well.
Yeah. No, it's so interesting.
Yeah.
We have a final question.
Tell me.
Which I'm always excited about, which is what's in your bag?
Yeah,
what is in your handbag?
You kept that off
I did.
prep list.
Yeah.
So slightly embarrassing. So I have a water bottle, obviously.
Good, yeah.
Hydrated. It has cellular hydration in it.
Good. We love that.
I have makeup bag. I have this, which I carry around, digest and debloat.
Nice.
It's one of my faves.
Good. Again, if you're out and you have a meal that's not agreeing.
Tell me you're a mom without telling me you're a mom. A half-used pack of baby wipes.
Love
and
it.
A fairy wand.
I love it.
I have an extra white shirt because my kids usually touch me, and I was worried I'd get here and there'd be like jam on me.
I love it.
And then I just have a computer which my kids got a hold of last night, and I've got stickers on it.
Love it. Love it. Love it. It's real life. It's a real life.
Yeah, that's a mom bag.
Yeah,
That's
a mom
definitely
bag.
a mom bag.
I love it. Well, Rhian, thank you so much for coming into the kitchen
Thank you for
and
having
sharing this. It's been great. And I can't wait to try this because I'm like,
Yes.
I'm not giving up on creatine. I just haven't found my source yet.
Yeah. Well, sorry, just one more thing. I know it's over, but one thing that people don't know, or like a lot of people don't know, is women, we make less naturally, we store less naturally, and we produce less naturally. So there's like, not only can it be really helpful just because of all the things we know it's helpful for, but it can be particularly helpful for women, and especially with women who are more plant-based, because the only way we get it from food is through animal.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And it's
anyways,
so funny.
I'm so excited for you to try.
I'm excited.
Let me know how it is.
I will. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you guys so much for listening. I really hope you enjoyed that episode. If you're liking the chat on supplements and finding it super helpful, then you're going to love next week. We are joined by Henry from the new electrolyte brand, which is taken over on Instagram, Salt. You've heard it around, you've heard of it, you might have tried it. We're talking about the story of Salt, how they're marketing their company because it's doing so well. We're all hearing about it. We're all feeling like we're part of their journey. Why they felt like they needed to bring out an electrolyte brand, what's different about their electrolytes compared to others. We go into it in so much detail. So if you're excited to hear more about Salt, then click that follow button so you are reminded when the episode goes live next week. Thank you guys so much again, and see you next week.